Visuals, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Superhero Wednesday, the day of the week where we get damn right dirty and nerdy. That's right, it's the day of the week where we just get super, well, we're nerdy all the fucking time. Where we get even more nerdy, and we either flex something or talk about the newest comic book film, or flex a Lego set, or do some Easter egg bullshit. But Visuals, it's time for yet another comic book review. I'm really enjoying these comic book reviews. Any OG fan of the channel will remember this channel pretty much started with doing a show called Comic Book Wednesday, because obviously new issues come out on a Wednesday, and it kind of expanded from there. And I feel like it's a nice nostalgia thing. Years ago when I was skinny and less green, we were talking about comic books. So now when I get my weekly orders of comics, and I'm like, let's review this one for the channel. I think the Visuals would like to hear about this one. And this week, it's none other than Moon Knight himself. So yeah, I think that's probably the reason as to why I love doing comic reviews. And I still, to this day, you're going to have to let me know, Visuals, don't know if my comic reviews are any good. I just sort of go, really like this panel, he had a fight, fun story, bye. That's actually the review. That's it, we'll end it there. Outro's coming in the next, Visuals. Thank you so much for watching. Comic book, Moon Knight did some stuff, bye. I think it's just mostly because I'm a really, really dumb idiot. And I sometimes, right, I find myself really good at explaining stuff. I'll explain something and I'll proper break it down and that. And then sometimes I get to it and I go, dumb. What is it? It was Einstein that said it. He said, if you can't explain something simply, you can't explain it at all. I feel like that might mean me sometimes. Just thick in both ways, up there and around the waist. But I'm very happy. There's your cover again, Visuals. It's Moon Knight, Black, White and Blood. See, I like the black-white bit. Newcastle fan, Toon, black-white army. But that's pretty friggin' cool. Right, and we have, this is Black, White and Blood, and it contains 3 different stories inside of this. We have a story by Hickman and Bachalo. In fact, if I go here, I can tell you who does art and whatnot. We've got Anubis Rex by Jonathan Hickman and Chris Bachalo, the storytellers. We have So White Yet So Dark by Murray Ayodel and Dutton Akande, storytellers for that story, and The End by Mark Gundheim and George Fornes. They're all the storytellers for each different story. I don't know if you guys want to know who wrote them, but if I'm doing a review, I maybe should say that. Well, in fact, if I am going to say it, I should maybe say it properly without mispronouncing names. Big Dum Dum Dan Dan. Yes, we follow Moon Knight through 3 separate stories, and all of them are just as good as the other. They're 3 amazing ones. The second story we get to is probably my favourite. You'll see why when we get to it. But the biggest thing I want to say about this comic, if I show you a panel without showing the second story that I love so much, it's very much this. Black, white and red. The title says itself. There's little, obviously in some parts there's hints of grey and whatnot and stuff like that, but this very much is just a black, white and red comic. It shows you Moon Knight at some very awesome, somewhat gory moments, but also there's some funny moments between a couple of other characters. Again, we're going to get to a big character in this comic. But this first story, the one titled Anubis Rex, it's quite cool. We start off in space, and Moon Knight's floating around. He actually has a little helper, this little girl, who's she called? She's called Bunny. And he's telling the story about how the Ra's come and the suns took over and the light's taken over, and the human race and whatnot. So it's implying that it's got extinct and stuff. And he's chasing these things called scarabs that killed his parents, and he's doing conscious work, but he's saying about how we can't wait for the sun to end, because then it's time for the moon and the dark to come back in. But it's quite cool because we've got this, if you can see it, at the bottom there. Can you see it? She kind of looks like Pikachu a little bit. She's talking, and there's also a dog on this ship thing that they're on, and she's saying, can we bring the dog? And he's like, no. She's like, why not? I was like, because I like the dog, implying that he doesn't really care about her, but he brings her along because she can smell Ra. So her gift is obviously she can smell the Egyptian god Ra as to when he is near. And we just go on this little fun adventure of chasing down some scarabs. We see the more gory parts. It's quite hard to get the artwork in shot for this one. But the biggest takeaway for this, that I absolutely love is this final bit here, this bit at the bottom. And I'm actually going to read this bit out to you because I enjoyed this, okay? So we've got Bunny talking to Moon Knight after their successful mission of taking on some scarabs. Is, we should eat dinner because we earned it and I'm starving. I'm going to have pancakes. That's obviously Bunny talking. Moon Knight replies, pancakes are the dog's favourites. You can't have pancakes. And then she puts, then I want a steak, medium well. He put, steaks are also for the dog. She put, fine. I'll eat anything but soup. He then says, so, and she goes, so what am I going to eat? He says, soup. You can have some of mine. I chuckled away when that all played out. I just thought it was so friggin' funny. Finally, the second story, and the first page gives it away. Yeah, you can tell why this is my favourite. But do you know what's really cool about this? This is the Tom Holland suit. This is the Tom Holland suit Spider-Man, same symbol and everything. So I think we can apply that this might be canon to the MCU or some shit, or might just be part of the multiverse where he has Tom Holland Spider symbol. But this story, we find Moon Knight on a mission to chase down a couple more it's scarabs. And Spider-Man comes along and he basically says, hi, can I ask you for something? And Moon Knight's like, no, go away. And he's like, I haven't even asked it yet. And Spider-Man's like, well, if I help you with something, can you then do me this favour? And he Moon Knight sort of reluctantly goes along, but the way that he talks to Spider-Man is fucking hilarious in this. And Spider-Man is saying like, oh, what are you busy with? Egyptian stuff. And Moon Knight's like, it's not always Egyptian stuff. And then we find out later that Moon Knight's chasing down these scarabs. And this dialogue here, but you said a scarab. Moon Knight's like, yeah. And Spider-Man goes, so Egyptian stuff. And Moon Knight just puts, fuck you. And it's the relationship between it's absolutely class. Moon Knight's being very solid and stone-like and just get on with the job. I can't bother to do it. Spider-Man trying to be his friendly neighbor Spider-Man with his little antics and his words and all the shenanigans that he says. Just have a nice little journey chasing down a couple of these people, trying to hunt down a scarab. But what's cool about this is we have a very calculated Moon Knight where he talks, so you'll see. There's this moment where these ghosts are summoned and Spider-Man can't fight them, and he says, where is it? He puts his other armor on. He goes, Ghost Reaper armor, activate, and he puts this, it looks like Khonshu, and he can fight the ghosts, because he tells Spider-Man, as he's fucking off, he's like, don't fight them, because they can hurt you, but you can't hurt them, it's pointless, and Spider-Man's like, well, what the fuck? But then he starts probably calculating about attacks and where he's going. He's like, angle wing, match my speed, pursuit mode on the deck, switch 120 feet, hunting mode, and it's like this more, techie sort of armor version of him. But what's cool about this is that one of the people he's chasing down, he has this like ability in his power, and he summons a big massive Anubis into New York City, and he has a bit of a conversation, and it all gets done and dusted. And eventually Spider-Man gets his wish, and all he wanted to do was borrow Mr. Knight's jacket. But then he starts talking. He's like, Khonshu's like, yeah, you can borrow it, blah 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 blah, and he puts but if it's for some freaky roleplay stuff, please do both as a favour and don't return it. Burn it and throw it away. Throw the ashes into another continent so they're as far away from me as possible. And then he puts, if you hug me, I swear I'll slice your face off. That's literally what he says. And then the best thing about this is, at the very, very end, we see Deadpool come in with some furry handcuffs, and he says, I'm not lending you the suit, lending you Mr. Knight's suit, Deadpool. And he just puts, but Spidey, and he puts no. And we see Deadpool there in his slippers and the same dressing gown that we see from the end of the Deadpool 1 film. Finally, story number 3, which is very snowy, bloody, Carnage Night. We basically have, I always try and do these spoiler-free. I do a shit job of that because I'm showing you panels and stuff. But I'll try and stick with it spoiler-free. We see without name-dropping or anything, we see a lady on the run. She was in witness protection. She's making her way to a courthouse, and he's basically helping her. Turns out she unknowingly worked for a mob boss, and it's his mission to get her there. And there's multiple villains. There's like Red Blade, sort of B-list villains, Wrecking Ball's in here somewhere, that are trying to stop him along the way. They've obviously been hired by the mob to stop her from getting and talking and testifying whatever she's doing. And it's just a journey from him getting her and taking her to there. But he actually ends up taking her to Mr. Knight. We can, in fact, if I show you the better panel, where is it there? To Mr. Knight, and he basically says how we can help you. Well, it literally ends, how can I help you? And away we go from there. It says, and the final thing we get, which I quite like, is life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. I like that quote by Soren Kierkegaard. I don't know who that is, but that's a nice quote. And then we get a cover for the next issue. It was a really fun read. I like this idea of 3 different stories inside of one book, and I love the artistic look that we got in this. I love the cover. There was a few nice variations of the covers, but that was my personal favourite. But there we go. Visuals, Moon Knight Red, White and Blood comic book review. It was without a shadow of a doubt 3 very intriguing and interesting stories. One standing out more because I'm very biased to Spider-Man. He's my guy. Beautiful artwork, great storytelling, fun little stories. Again, each one's what, 6 or 7 pages long each, or something like that. And yeah, thoroughly enjoyable. Go check out Moon Knight Red, White and Blood. Red, White? That's Sunderland, you dirty bastards. Black, White. Actually, I'm thinking of all the red. I'm thinking of the colour red and saying red, white, and then saying blood. Black, white, and blood. I can only assume that now we'll either potentially just carry on from the Mr. Knight saga at the end, or we'll carry on with all of it. Is Spider-Man going to go? I don't know. I'll tell you what else is cool. An advert for an Ant-Man coming up soon. This is the Ant-Man of today, tomorrow, and yesterday all collide. That looks quite cool, doesn't it? I'm fairly up for that, and that just says Ant-Man 60 years, June 2022. There's visuals in my typical extremely optimistic fashion. 10 out of 10. Amazing reader. Can't wait for issue 2. I'm very biased at the minute as well. I'm very just Marvel based, but a lot of my DC comics feels like they're taking forever to come out. I'm waiting for the Blackout. I'm waiting for my the fucking heist. What's it called? The 6th part of his series, the Batman one. I can't remember what the fuck it's called. My other Batman one. For a lot of shit, basically, and I don't know where it is. But visuals, that was my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you think of the review. How can I change it? Should I say less? Should I show thingy? I didn't even say the blurb for this one, but we've missed it. I think that boat sailed. How can I improve? Let me know, visuals. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching. You guys, it's the best. Always keep being you and keep out. Keep it out.